Injuries in game, we just had normal bumps and bruises. Everybody who had one really returned, other than Deshaun Golston. He had a hamstring. We'll see Wednesday how he's doing. Corey's still being evaluated, and D. Hall is going to progress, and we'll see on Wednesday what he can do. And then Terrence Knighton, if his symptoms allow, he could be back Wednesday.
Jay, after watching the film, what did you assess or what changed, I guess, from your perspective on what you thought about the offense?
Nothing really changed. We had some opportunities we didn't convert on. Defense did a good job. New England did a good job. They had a good plan. But there were some plays there for the making, and we just didn't make them. So it was a combination of a lot of things. The running game, some blocking issues, some back issues, same as we've been talking about for the last 4 weeks. Passing game, Kirk did some good things, but there's some plays I'm sure he wished he had back, and I'm sure the receivers wish they had back. So it's a combination of everybody as far as the offense's struggles.
Jay, last night when we talked to you, your response to one of the questions was everything is still within our grasp. Is that the message that you gave to the players last night after the game?
Well, clearly, we're disappointed with the outcome of the game, but I think it's important that we move on to New Orleans. And where we are in a division, we're 3-5, obviously, after the first half of the season. Things are in our grasp, but we have to play better. If we don't play better, then nothing's in our grasp. So we got to make sure we turn up the heat a little bit, challenge these guys, try to get more out of them as coaches, and hopefully we play better because we are right in the thick of things as far as the division is concerned.
Coach, those drop balls, I'm sure it just drives you crazy. How can you coach that up if you can at all? I mean, what do you do there in that situation?
I don't know. I just chalk it up as I don't know. This is very uncharacteristic of the guys that dropped them. Matt Jones, he had a drop. That can happen from time to time where the running back out of the backfield can't see over the lineman sometimes. But for the other guys, it doesn't really happen very often. So we're going to keep throwing it, and they're going to keep catching it. Just hopefully we got them all out of our system yesterday.
One of the things Scott was talking about even back in training camp was building a team that could stand up to a 16-game season and kind of still be physical and tough down the stretch. That hasn't been how this team's been in recent years. And I know you've only been here for 1 year. But is that something you sense, and is that something that maybe you feel these guys are able to rise to the challenge of?
I think they are. We do have to just focus our sights on New Orleans, obviously, but I feel like from a mental standpoint, I feel like these guys are in the right place. We understand we didn't play very well yesterday, but I don't feel like we're backing down. I feel like we're playing tough at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Our offensive line played very well in the passing game, protected again against a pretty good pass rushing team. Defensive line had some pressure, did some decent things. We're going to stand up and we're going to compete. That's what we are going to do for sure for 16 weeks.
Jay, you say the problems in the run game specifically have been the same for 3-4 weeks now. If it's the same problems, are you guys mixing up what you're doing as a coaching staff? Because obviously, if you're getting the same results, doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, we're not doing the same thing, and maybe that's a problem. Maybe we should do the same thing over and over again. We'll get better at the same thing. And there might be some merit to that. But like I said, it's when you say the same thing, it's not the same thing. It's somebody different all the time. It might be the center, it might be the left guard, it might be the right guard, it might be the tight end. Carrier missed on one, center missed on one, Morgan Moses missed on one, the back missed a cut or two, and we're, quite frankly, at running back, we got to do a better job of if the hole's not there, we got to make one, and we got to run through some tackles from time to time. So it's a combination of a lot of things. 4 weeks in a row now, we're not very good. We haven't been very good. And we have to improve. We have to try to improve somehow, some way.
In these last 4 weeks, are teams playing you all differently than they did in the first couple weeks against the run? Have they picked up on tendencies and forcing guys into mistakes, or is it just guys not executing?
You have to understand a little bit, too. We have a center that just started playing, all right? And we have a right guard that's a rookie and a right tackle that just started playing, too. We have some young people. We have a left guard that just started playing. This is his second year, but really his first year playing at left guard. We have a rookie running back. We have a tight end that just got here 5 or 6 weeks ago, and Jordan Reed, who's more of a pass-catching tight end. So we aren't exactly, one cohesive unit, finished product yet. We're working towards that. We're going to get to that, but we still have some things we have to work out from a youth standpoint, working together, playing together, and they will work on that. Coach Callahan's working diligently with these guys, and these guys are working hard. We're just not quite a finished product yet, and I don't anticipate us be a finished product, for a little while, but we're going to keep grinding it, and good things will happen.
Jay, obviously as a relatively young starting quarterback, Kurt has been working very hard on his decision-making. But is there a point where you sort of go too far with worrying about your decision-making? I mean, in other words, are there opportunities for him to be more aggressive that you see, that you'd like him to be more aggressive?
There could be. Sometimes Kirk overthinks some things. Yeah, there's no question. But he's going to consider. He's always going to work on his decision making. You have to at the quarterback position. Every week, every game, every play, your decision making is what makes the play. So he cannot take that for granted or take that lightly. When the game's over, when the play's over, we'll correct him and work on his decision making, help him along the way. But ultimately, he's got the ball in his hands, and he's the one that has to make those final decisions. He's got to be decisive and live with the decisions that he makes, and hopefully they're the right ones. And he's doing a better job. He's also not quite there yet either. He's got a long way to go, obviously, as we all do, working together to progress.
Jay, in the last two games, you guys have been down 17-0 somewhere at some point during the second quarter. At what point do you decide, as an offensive unit, to go one-dimensional and focus on the pass, and without being too early and abandoning the run in the game?
Yeah, we had the ball one play in the first quarter through an interception. It was dropped and intercepted, and I think we only had 5 or 6 plays in the first quarter, so it wasn't like our game plan could get off and running. You never want to abort the run quickly because we feel like when we are good, our run game is good, but it also opens up our play-action passing game, which we haven't been able to tap into, being down 17-0 this week and 24-0 the week before or 2 weeks before against Tampa. So the bulk of our offense and our big plays is not allowed because we're trailing too early. So we got to do a better job coming out of the gate, both offensively and defensively, to keep the game close, which helps us with the running game, helps us with our play actions where our chunk plays can come in.
Jay, not to overemphasize the game against New Orleans, but with games following at Carolina and then, of course, a division game, is there something to learn from a game like the one against Tampa Bay where there was urgency there and to not come out the way that you guys did in a game that might feel maybe a bit more, not important, but maybe urgent before a game against Carolina?
Yeah, they're all urgent right now. There's no question about it. And this is a big game for us. It's a home game. We always stress our home games. But we have to come out faster. We're playing another future Hall of Fame quarterback in Drew Brees, excellent coach Sean Payton. It's going to be a great challenge for these guys, and we have to come out faster. We can't keep digging ourselves into 17-0 holes and expect to have a successful season or games. So we got to make sure we do a better job of coming out of the tunnel and strapping up, being ready to play quicker, play faster, start faster, so we can implement our game plan and we can play with a lead and play to our strengths.
Yeah, Will Compton played more yesterday than obviously except for the games that he started. Was that coach's decision, or was Perry not? It was the calf bothering him?
It was coach's decision pretty much, and Perry's still working through that calf. I think he's feeling better, but Compton's done well, in his time playing too. I think they both deserve to play. They're both good linebackers, and Compton played very well yesterday.
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Coach, two-part question about Deshaun Jackson. First, your thoughts on his performance, his impact coming back after all that time. And second, did you hear his comments afterwards on how he'd like to be more involved, how he's not the one calling the plays or getting the ball throwing the ball to him?
Well, he's not the one calling the plays, and he's not the one throwing the ball to himself, so he is correct with his comment. We respect Deshaun a lot and what he brings to this football team. The problem is Deshaun wasn't here in OTAs, and he missed a lot of training camp, and he missed the first 8 games. So to have the cohesiveness with the quarterback coming right out of the chute would probably be a little bit wishful thinking. We do have high expectations for Deshaun when he's rolling, and we'll get him rolling again. Yesterday wasn't his day, it wasn't our day as an offense, but hopefully next week we'll see more balls flying his way and he can go get them.
Following up on the Compton Riley stuff, is there any thought to starting Will this week?
There's thought to everything. We're going to look at the film. We're going to evaluate all the tape with our defensive staff here at 4 o'clock and go from there. We like Perry a lot. We like Will a lot. I think they're both good linebackers, and obviously Keenan has done some good things, had a big interception. The three of those guys, I think, complement each other very well. And Mason Foster, I think, has some merit, too, to play in.
Run game, real quick. The last drive before halftime, did you at least see some snippets of what you want to get to with the run game on that drive?
Yeah, we did. We got some nice hits in there. I think the longest run of the day, though, was 10 yards. Jones had a 10-yard run. He had some downhill runs where we were able to carry some people and get 4 or 5 yards. And that's the most important thing, is getting the 4, 5, 6, 7 yarders, instead of the 1 and 2s. I think we had 14 carries for 29 yards, but we had the 1 10-yarder. So, the success of the running game, it doesn't have to be 25 carries for 250 yards, man. I just need, 25 carries for 100. I'd like to get 4 yards a carry, 4 yards a pop if we can, 4.5, and then pop one every now and then. But for us to stick with it, trailing like we were the last couple weeks, trailing like we were against the Giants, against the Jets there late in the third quarter, fourth quarter, it's very difficult.
Jay, how big of a problem was it last night in terms of run defense not having Terrence Knight in there? And is there any concern that this could be a long-term issue with him with the cluster headaches?
I don't know. He's had a history of them, a little bit of a history of them, but it is a concern when you're talking about migraine headaches, and I don't know the answer to that. I think we're hoping that we get him under control and he's able to play again, but that's something that I don't think anybody can predict.
Kirk talked about, as he was watching Tom Brady, and the command he has of the offense where he sees somebody doesn't like, calls a timeout, and just knowing when to go off script. How much of that do you talk to him about, giving him that green light and letting him know that, hey, if you see something, it's okay? And is that just a process he's got to feel his way through?
Yeah, no question. He's got to understand that he's the guy with the ball. I mean, he's got the ultimate decision maker, not me on the sideline, not Sean. If I need a timeout, I'll call it. But if he sees something he doesn't like, he can call it too. But we do like to save our timeouts, especially in the second half. We don't like to waste them. But we like to think we have answers in a lot of our pass plays. But he has that ability, and that's something he's going to grow through. He had a couple good audibles in the game yesterday, a couple audibles that he could have done better. But he's coming along. And he's continued to make progress as far as that decision leadership type role that he needs to have to be like the others.
Another guy who played a lot of snaps yesterday, Jerron Johnson. We hadn't seen much of him. What did he show you in these last couple weeks of practice that maybe hadn't been there so far this year?
He's a consistent performer. He's a smart kid and a good tackler. So we thought he deserved a right to play, and he played pretty well for the time that he did play.
Assess the run defense yesterday and moving forward.
Yeah, the run defense very similar to the run offense. It's a group effort, number one, and as a group we haven't been very good. But you can't put it all on the defensive line, although they want to take all the blame. You can't put it on the linebackers; they want the blame. The good thing is they all feel accountable for it, and they're all going to work toward it. Sometimes it gets pushed to the safety's gap or the corner's gap, and he's got to make a tackle, and they don't make the tackle. So, it's a team effort defensively. And from schematic standpoint, I feel like we're in the right places. We just got to finish some plays, and we got to hustle the ball and wrap up. It's a couple weeks in a row, 3-4 weeks in a row, and we'll keep working. We've had some banged up people in key spots. But that's no excuse. We just have to continue to work and run to the ball, wrap up, and gang tackle.
Watching Brady, obviously he's been in the system for 16 years, and there's a familiarity and all that. You see him giving signals to his receivers or his back, split out wide, tapping the hip, telling him to go on stuff, just a familiarity. How long do you think, in your experience, does it take to start to get some of that, where like a guy like Kirk can maybe start doing that with some of your receivers?
Yeah, he's doing that, some of it. We have options for him, formations where he can call a play at the line of scrimmage, no question about it, if he sees a look. That happened 5 or 6 times, I don't know, in the game yesterday. But there'll be more of that for him. It's a matter of what the defense is giving you too. And there hasn't been a lot of reason. New England didn't give us a lot of reason to audible out of a lot of plays or bad looks. They kind of played how we thought they were going to play. They just played it very well. Yeah. He'll have more of that as he grows.
Jay, on the Matt Jones fumble, I think immediately after the game you said you wanted to go back and look at it. You weren't sure if it was like a fumble or something about the exchange. Is it clear in your mind what happened and how it can
Randy
not happen?
Jordan, the running back coach, says if the back touches it, it's his. It's his responsibility. It's on him. But that was a bang play. He got the ball, and I think it was Branch made a nice play. Got his arm in there right at this simultaneously. So you like to see him hang on to that, no question about it. But it was a heck of a play by Branch.
Yeah,
It was
you guys,
poorly blocked.
You guys had Ross down yesterday, and then Gostkowski had been kicking almost all of his kickoffs to the back. I think it was 3/4 of them to the back of the end zone. Yesterday, they seemed to kick them 3-4 yards deep, and then your guys came out, and the field position wasn't great. Do you think that the poor decisions, poor blocking, what happened that caused you guys to get backed up?
I think we brought two out. One, Chris Thompson probably should have taken a knee. The other one, I think, was a wobbler that Andre dropped, and that's why he was backed up. But we did anticipate Gostkowski kicking the majority of them out of the end zone. That's part of the reason we had Ross down. We needed Andre up just because Deshaun's first game back. I wanted to make sure he could finish the game. I needed the depth at wide receiver, and Andre can play multiple spots. But that's the only reason. But Chris probably should have taken a knee, and Andre just dropped his. All right.